Welcome back. And to shed more light on the importance of this summit, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Hassan Waguih, Professor of International Relations at Al-Azhar University. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
So, sir, how do you read the final communique of the summit today?
Yes, I think it's a great step towards dealing with the roots of the crisis in Sudan. And I think I'm calling it the Flamingo scenario. And the Flamingo scenario, by the way, was a successful scenario in South Africa problem. So it is something very African. And it tells you that it is a synchronizing scenario, a harmonizing scenario that took into account all the initiatives, and it is not counter to these initiatives like the initiative conducted by the Saudi Arabia and the United States, or the IGAD initiative, or the Egypt and the South Sudan initiative. So it connected all these initiatives and brought harmonization and synchronization, and this is a very good common ground that would give a great momentum to the direction of establishing a path and a roadmap for getting the crisis resolved, inshallah.
Yes, sir. Also, President Fattah al-Sisi addressed the summit early in the day, and he highlighted the negative repercussions of the humanitarian situation in Sudan, which requires quick action to halt violence. He also said that the Sudanese crisis is affecting the whole world and Sudan's neighboring countries in particular. How do you read President Fattah al-Sisi's speech early in the day?
Actually, the statement of the president is very telling that Egypt is watching out for the problem and the crisis from the very beginning, and we don't want to see this like 3 million people went out of Sudan seeking refuge from the armed conflict, lack of humanitarian aid that and the passes and road for getting this aid for the people who deserve to be helped out of this conflict. And I think that one of the most important things that Egypt is achieving through the words of the president himself is that no interference in the internal affairs of Sudan. All what is being done is to help the Sudanese people to come up with their solution to the crisis and to get the whole thing settled.
Yes. How do you see Egypt's support for the Sudanese people, especially in opening its borders for them and sending them convoys of food and medicine to help those who could not cross the borders?
You know, there is a very strong sentiment by Egyptians and by Sudanese that they are all one people. And actually, in history, we were one country. So I think the ties that connects us with the Sudanese people, in particular, with the Nile, with the marriage affairs, with the communication, with the going here and there, I think there is a strong bond between the Egyptian people and the Sudanese people. So opening up was not only through this crisis, but we have 5 million Sudanese living not in camps, as citizens, full citizens with Egyptians, sharing us everything. And we are happy with that. So I think Egypt is very keen to have excellent relationship with the Sudanese people, and also with all the peoples of the continent of Africa. You know what makes me glad today is to see African countries getting together with the African Union and the Arab League, and this would tell us about the significance of the meeting of the Cairo, and this is why I'm calling it the Flamingo scenario, means a very successful scenario, that the continent is capable of addressing its problems. The continent is very capable of dealing with all the crises. And when I saw even the pictures with the president and the president of Ethiopia, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, I felt like Egypt was this one win-win situation in all the affairs of the African continent.
Yes. Also, the African Union Commission chairperson Musa Faki pointed to a trilateral mechanism composed of the African Union, United Nations, and other partners, and that they should all coordinate and work to put a solution, to reach a solution for this crisis. How do you see the importance of coordination between international institutions to reach a solution for this crisis?
Yes, we are not living in isolation. We are in a global village, and every part of this global village could be impacted by other parts. So we will never be able to help ourselves unless we ask also for integration and help from the international community. We are not living in isolation, of course. I think that getting the whole thing to start with African countries, African neighboring countries to Sudan, and to invite all these international institutions is an excellent synchronization scenario implementation, as I can see it.
Yes. So also, if we talk about the importance of dealing with the humanitarian consequences in Sudan, as many Sudanese fled the conflict into neighboring countries, and also others are displaced. Sir, how can the international institutions face this crisis?
Actually, the international community is invited more and more to provide help and to provide concern. You see, the world is having so many crises, like the Ukrainian-Russian one, and in many other parts of the world. The climate, severe, extreme problems that is coming out. So it makes people a little bit busy with their agendas. So I hope that the international community with the African countries would help the Sudanese people to overcome the impasse, the problems, the challenges. And there are so many, and it's a very complex crisis, by the way. You know, and one of the greatest things that I did like as an analyst is that to see Egypt is moving very quickly through this meeting, because if you still have the two parties with no upper hand, this means that the next step is exacerbating of the conflict and asking foreign powers to come. So I hope that this meeting put a halt, put a stop on any foreign intervention and trying to contain the crisis from being exacerbated towards a very deep tunnel.
Yes. Also, on the sidelines of the summit, President Fattah al-Sisi received Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who is heading his country's delegation at Sudan's neighboring countries summit, which is held in Cairo. And the meeting tackled also the conflict in Sudan and the Renaissance Dam file. How do you describe Egyptian-Ethiopian relations at this stage?
I think that there is no other way for Egypt and Ethiopia but the win-win approach. The win-win approach would help the Ethiopian people to build their country, to have economic prosperity, but for Egypt also, the Nile is life. So cooperation and win-win. And I really would like very much to commend the Egyptian diplomacy here, that, you know, when I remember Trump's statement, why don't we blow up that dam? And we didn't listen to this because Egypt is so patient. Egypt is dealing with the Ethiopians as brothers. They deserve to achieve their progress. But again, they have to cooperate with us to overcome all the common challenges so as we can have a win-win situation. So the picture of Abiy Ahmed and the President Sisi gave me some some good feeling of satisfaction as a citizen and as an analyst to see. And I'm quite sure and I'm optimistic that there will be a way out for any differences, and it could be resolved through the international laws and the good negotiation and the good intentions.
Yes, to what extent, or the significance of Egypt hosting such an important summit, to what extent it reflects Egypt's pivotal role now in the African countries, in the African continent?
Yes, very good.
Yes.
I would like to say in Arabic, excuse me.
Yes.
هنا القاهرة.
Yes, هنا القاهرة. Yes.
Cairo.
True.
Cairo is here.
Yes.
Of course, Cairo is here.
Of course.
Egypt is a role country. Egypt has been throughout its history a role player. There are two in political science we can call resource countries and role countries. Egypt is a very important role country. The role, Egyptian role, could never be ignored globally. And I think that to get this summit organized with this great preparation, by the way, I'm so happy with the preparation and with the quick deliberation before the summit, and the summit succeeded by having an extended solution that will be followed up in Chad. So I think I'm so proud that we did that, and I hope that will come out with great results. And it is very telling when you see that African countries can help themselves to resolve conflict within the African family. And this is a very great significance, because it is not only Sudan, it could be any kind of challenges, problems, crises. Africans are capable of taking the matter in their hands and prevent foreign intervention, make Africa and make the peoples of Africa what they should deserve. Africa is so rich and potentially speaking.
Yes. Finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Waguih. Thank you for being with us today, Professor of International Relations at Al-Azhar University.